The start of Season 9 made a lot of supports feel pretty bad to play, except for Zenyatta and Lucio of course, but they've both been nerfed for a while now, along a bunch of other changes in the latest hotfix. Right now, most supports actually play pretty well, and a lot of them are on A tier. It takes a while for things to settle sometimes, and starting off in D tier, I can pretty comfortably say that Mercy is still really bad. The hotfix hasn't made anything better for her. It actually made her pistol projectile size smaller, but that's obviously not what's keeping her in bad shape. The shots were crazy big, but she still lost 99% of her duels. As a hero right now, she just doesn't do enough. Basically, up until Season 9, a Mercy pocketed DPS could easily win 2v2s, but now the DPS passive makes that matchup a lot more even, and it doesn't favor the Mercy pocket anymore. 25% damage boost and 44 heals per second is all you have to play with when fighting at least one other DPS. Mercy's not as bad as she seems at healing the whole team up, but the burst healing just isn't there, and heal botting as Mercy is just a waste of the only good thing she has right now, which is pocketing a strong DPS. She's not even good at surviving anymore. Using your Guardian Angel in the open is always dangerous, even if you're only exposed for a bit. And because Mercy is such a helpless target, most people default to focusing her. Staying alive and doing enough healing and damage boosting is super tough with heroes like Soldier and Tracer looking for you, but at least if you're pocketing a good player, they might be able to carry harder. You just don't need to play Mercy when there are so many supports that add more damage and healing to the team without being as vulnerable. If you're looking to rank up on your favorite heroes, check out the link in the description below to get access to a GameLeap membership. There are tons of guides and courses that can level up your game and help you get better, faster. Make sure to check it out and enjoy the video. The next support is definitely more survivable, but still objectively not good. Brig. As the only hero in C tier, she's pretty much just okay. She has 0 poke, consistent passive healing, and good peel. Having 0 poke wouldn't be a problem in any other season, but right now almost every hero has decent spam. Lucio and Genji, for example, aren't strong because of their range damage, but they have enough of it to control space better. Brig just has nothing at all. A 20 meter 70 damage whip shot is the closest it gets, and that's pretty rough. She could make up for her 0 focus fire with how good her packs and Inspire are, and how good she is at protecting her teammates, but even those parts of her kit aren't strong enough. Her repair packs have always been great for pocketing flankers far away, but the maximum range has been 25 meters for a while now. It makes Brig a lot less flexible with her position. She won't instantly die if she has to play within 25 meters of her Genji and Tracer, but she just doesn't gain anything from being closer to the enemy team. Farming some damage and Inspire was an option, but this season, anytime you're even close to the front line as Brig, you're already in danger. It even feels like her shield health got nerfed with how quickly it breaks. During rally is the only time Brig can actually do something proactive for her team. Otherwise, you're gonna have to hope that the enemy team only runs flankers, so you at least have something to do besides falling back constantly. It sounds pretty bad for support so far, but after Brig and Mercy it gets better, just not by a lot at the start. First up in B tier is Illari, and while she's not suddenly playable, she has a higher pylon uptime and more impact in ultimate fights than before. It's not exactly what she needed, but having a more balanced kit is the first step to being consistently good, or at the very least, okay. Her ultimate is actually respectable now, and although Blizzard is really scared to make pylon too good again, that's fine too. Just the concept of an automatic healing drone is so strong and so easy to play around that it makes sense that it's got low HP and a long cooldown. So that all sounds pretty good, but let's snap back to reality. She still gets easily overwhelmed by fast fights. The only instant reactive value she has is her secondary fire burst heal, which is of course affected by the DPS passive to make it even less effective at keeping her teammates up. She would actually not be that bad if her pylon was able to more aggressively heal poke, but because it's so easy to kill, it has to be set up in backline where it's going to heal at most 2 other backliners. It points to one of the biggest reasons Illari still sucks even with high damage range. Her healing range is just awful. Although she can keep up with long range poke, she just doesn't have the utility of Discord that Zen has or the consistent damage from Bap. Moving on to the next hero, it's Lifeweaver, and it's not a coincidence that 3 out of the 4 worst supports right now suck at confirming damage. It's not that they need to frag out, but with a lot of heroes playing split and far away, the more heroes that can poke the better, and Lifeweaver has the bare minimum. His damage is slightly better than Ramatcha's Omnic Form primary fire, but it also becomes equally unreliable at longer ranges. But again, Lifeweaver doesn't need to cross-map one-clip anybody. It's enough that he can help burst down anyone aggressive while still playing for what actually makes him good, his utility. No other hero has anything close to what Pedal Platform and Life Grip do, and they both have crazy high potential, although most of the time you'll just be using Pedal Platform to escape and Life Grip to save your tank. But even that's not bad, especially in a season where killing tanks is a lot easier. Having the unstoppable ability to save them is obviously useful, but there are better supports that can either go in with your tank or help from range more than Weaver can. His healing output does reach far, and it's better than Brig or Mercy heals, but it's still really low. At best, you're still doing less than 60 heals per second, so Weaver will always be really bad at saving allies without his life grip. With a cooldown of 19 seconds, your team can get rushed down pretty hard if you get it forced early. After Lifeweaver, we're already onto A tier. It's pretty packed up here with basically all the flex supports being good somehow. First up is Ana. Clearly at the bottom of the tier she's not as good as the rest, and it's mostly because she's so easy to kill. Biotic Nade and Sleep Dart are still dangerous and good at helping you survive, and even if you do die, they can set up your team to punish, but no mobility and a heal-focused playstyle makes her weaker in Season 9. But in no rank are you getting dove on 24/7. Most of the time both teams are just playing team deathmatch from range, which helps Ana a lot. Just remember that getting pushed as Ana is really hard to recover from, thanks to her super long cooldowns. Every time you only hit yourself with your biotic nade, you're slowly losing the game. Just like always, aggressive anti-heals is the best you can do offensively. If you're already playing a vulnerable support, just crank it up to full aggro at range, nades, healing, damage, even sleep darts if it can help the team fight. Although Ana is a lot less popular, she still does a lot before dying, and you always have a second support to help survive. Even Brig Ana is still totally serviceable, and it does enable her to do a lot, just not as much as the next hero in A tier, Zenyatta. Zen isn't broken anymore, but Ranked has quickly gotten used to how chill it is to just protect your Zen and let him carry with discords. He has a high skill ceiling, but he's also pretty simple, and that's in a good way. All you have to focus on is just dealing damage and positioning. Both Discord and Harmony Orb have some depth when it comes to who you're placing them on and how often you're changing them, but they're both just a quick press of a button. Of course, the Discord cooldown makes things a lot more clunky, but it's also pretty necessary now that Zen is a lot better on average. It actually holds him back from being still too strong after the health nerf. Otherwise, Zen is still one of the most fragile heroes in the game, maybe even the most. It's not just that his hitbox is big, but that he's also just a square. Every weapon with spread is automatically super good into him, and that includes Tracer, Sombra, and Wrecking Ball. Although he's still A tier, you're a dead man walking if the enemy team has a dive comp like that. He's at least not alone in that, since Baptiste is up next, another big hitbox that gets farmed by divers. And although Bap can actually keep himself alive, he can't do it for very long. Both heroes are clearly better off when they don't have to deal with 5-man dives on the regular, but in Bap's case, it's much easier to not only survive, but also to avoid getting pushed in the first place. Unlike Zen, he doesn't need to find the enemy to put a discord on them, he just needs to heal his team. It's a lot easier to get basic stuff done, and it also means you can sit further back or even close to your team without being too risky. Regen Burst and Immortality Field are both area effects, so even when you get engaged, your team is still supported, and then hopefully they actually help you kill whoever's attacking you. Even if they don't, Bap's damage is still decent, and even Tracer can get bursted quickly if you have an idea where she's engaging from. And he's even got his own mobility too. With your exo boots, you can reposition so easily vertically, and get the good positioning fast. On some maps like Ilios, there are so many good high ground positions that you can only get to with mobility, which limits the heroes that can fight you pretty well. Bap may not be perfect in every matchup, but he still wins a lot of them. For the top 3 heroes, we're finally into broken territory, and it's actually Moira all the way up here. Already a top support in low ranks, she's even better in high ranks. She wins almost every 1v1 and is super good at focus firing aggressive DPS. She would actually be number 2 on this list if her hitbox wasn't just a bit too big, making Tracer still pretty lethal against her. But it's also pretty easy to adapt to being focused as Moira. Where Bap or Zen would just have to play super far back all the time, Moira can watch flanks and heal at the same time, which gives you the upper hand on flankers coming to get you. It also means it's easier to fade before you take a ton of damage and get chased. It's much better to fade earlier than later now, since Moira's hitbox isn't as elusive as it used to be, but you can make up for it by saving heal over yourself or just outpositioning enemy DPS. Moira has suddenly become super good, mostly because of how many flankers are running around. Hard focusing enemy Tracer wouldn't actually be a bad idea with how strong she is, and Moira is one of the only heroes who has no problem confirming damage on her. At the top of A tier is also one of those heroes, Kiriko. Although Moira comes close to being as good, Kiriko has so much going for her. She has an instant teleport, high spam damage, and pretty importantly, a steady stream of heals. I know Kiriko's offensive potential is crazy and all, but her automatic healing is so useful for supporting flankers and even pre-healing damage. That used to be possible with Ana, where you could start healing someone before they even took damage. Lifeweaver does the same thing, but it's just not comparable to Kiriko. She even has a better version of Bap's technique of weaving in damage between heals, with way more burst damage potential. She's obviously still strong, but although she's an important part of flanky and spammy compositions with Tracer and Soldier, there's still one last S tier hero that's more meta defining, Lucio. And although he's got good heals, insanely powerful speed utility, an extra buffed boop, and actually still a lot more than that, he's especially valuable at supporting duels. His projectile size being slightly nerfed hasn't even made him less consistent if you're actually used to the travel time, and even if you're not, just spamming shots is already enough help. Lucio's speed also means he can switch from one flank to another quickly, and with how good his boop is, he's just as good as Kiriko at gaining an advantage out of thin air. And because most damage now is based on just spam to wear everybody down before going in, keeping your heal aura on makes for some pretty fast charging beats. And although he has a pretty big hitbox, he's actually much harder to pin down than Kiriko. Where she has a 7-second teleport, Lucio can just keep hopping off walls forever, and some heroes just can't shoot Lucio at all. Being able to always have high ground wherever there's a wall is pretty powerful. Even though not everyone can get the full value of Lucio, he's good enough with just his boop and heal aura, and it only takes a bit of effort to start fully using all of his strengths. That's it for the updated support tier list for Season 9. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.